back to Deep Dive Discussion, where we explore the ideas, strategies, and stories that truly matter. Today, our topic is the book Option B by Sheryl Sandberg and Adam Grant. Now, let's dive in. So, the goal for this deep dive, based on the materials we've looked at, is really to unpack the key insights, the practical stuff from this book.
Absolutely. And at its heart, option B is about resilience, isn't it? It's about how you find a way forward, how you build a meaningful option B when, well, option A, the life you expected just isn't there anymore because of some hardship.
Yeah, and what really struck me from the sources is that core idea that resilience isn't, some fixed thing you either have or you don't. It's not just personality.
Exactly. Sandberg and Grant really frame it as a skill, something that can be learned, something that can be strengthened. And it's grounded in psychology, but also in very concrete strategies.
And our sources, they really combine Sandberg's own very raw personal story of loss with Adam Grant's, psychological research background.
It's that blend that makes it powerful.
So our mission today is basically to pull out the most important pieces of knowledge from that blend to help you, our listeners, understand how to navigate tough times yourself, but also how to be genuinely supportive to others going through it.
And ultimately, how to find some kind of growth even when things feel completely broken.
Okay, so let's get into it. The book starts right where you'd expect in the immediate aftermath. Chapter 1 is called Breathing Again.
Yeah, and it really captures that feeling, that intense fog of grief or trauma, where just basic functioning feels, well, almost impossible.
It gets quite specific psychologically, introducing what they call the 3 Ps, which sound like real mental traps.
They really are. These are ways of thinking that can keep you stuck in despair. So the first is personalization, this belief that it's somehow your fault.
Right, taking it all on yourself.
Then there's pervasiveness, the feeling that this one awful thing just bleeds into every single part of your life, ruining everything.
And the last one.
Permanence, that conviction that the pain, this situation, it's just going to last forever, that it'll never get better.
Oof, yeah. Recognizing that just seeing them for what they are seems like a huge first step.
It is, because you can start to challenge them. But what's really interesting, I think, is the book emphasizes that the initial way through isn't just about your own inner strength.
No, it stresses how crucial those small acts of kindness are. Community support, right at the beginning.
Yes. It frames recovery not as getting back to who you were, because you can't really do that unchanged. It's about becoming someone new, integrating what happened. And you just can't do that in a vacuum.
So that support is like essential fuel.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like oxygen, as they put it. And the practical steps they suggest for this early phase are, well, they sound simple, but probably feel huge at the time.
Like creating basic routines again.
Simple routines. Accepting specific help, that's a big one. It's easier to say yes to, can I bring dinner Tuesday, than a vague, let me know if I can do anything.
Right. The vague offer puts the burden back on you.
Precisely. And focusing on tiny things you can control when everything else feels chaotic, finding little bits of meaning in just, daily actions, getting through the hour.
It's about finding those little handholds, isn't it, when the ground's gone from under you.
Yeah.
So if you think about a time when you, or maybe someone you know, felt just lost in that fog of hardship, the book suggests these initial steps, accepting specific help, focusing small, are the first threads to follow to find your way through. Okay, so once you're maybe starting to breathe a little easier, the next big hurdle the book tackles is social interaction, dealing with other people while you're grieving. That's chapter 2, kicking the elephant out of the room.
Ah, yes, the elephant, that massive, awkward silence around grief and loss. Society often just avoids it, right?
Totally. Everyone tiptoes around it, but the book makes such a powerful point that this silence, it actually makes the suffering person feel even more isolated.
It really does, because the core insight here is that acknowledging the loss, just naming it, even if you feel awkward or clumsy, is almost always better than saying nothing at all.
People are so afraid of saying the wrong thing.
Exactly. So they clam up. And that silence can feel like your pain or the person you lost doesn't matter. Just acknowledging it, validating it, helps build that connection again.
They offer that really practical tip instead of asking the huge question, how are you? Which is impossible to answer honestly. Ask, how are you today? It allows for a smaller, more manageable, more truthful answer about the ups and downs.
That's a great example. Other things they suggest are, actually using the name of the person who died, offering very specific, concrete help again. That theme of specificity.
Not just call me if you need anything.
No. And checking in regularly, not just in the first week or two, but ongoing. Sharing positive memories, too, can be really comforting.
Which leads nicely into the next chapter, chapter 3, the platinum rule of friendship. This shifts to thinking about what effective support really looks like.
Yeah, we all know the golden rule, treat others as you want to be treated. But the platinum rule flips it.
Treat others as they want to be treated.
Exactly. And this is so critical when someone's going through a hard time because what you might find comforting could be completely wrong for them.
Right. Maybe you want someone to talk things through, but they just need a distraction or someone to sit quietly with them.
Or maybe they don't need emotional talk at all right then. Maybe they desperately need help with groceries or childcare or just getting the bins out. Practical help can be incredibly valuable.
And consistency matters more than one big gesture, right? Just showing up repeatedly.
Absolutely. So the takeaway is really about empathy and action. Ask what someone needs, don't just assume. Offer concrete help you can actually follow through on. And remember that support is a marathon, not a sprint. You need to tune into their needs.
It makes you think, doesn't it? About times you've tried to support someone or times people have tried to support you. When did it feel really helpful? Probably when they actually asked or offered something specific, rather than just guessing. Elliot, let's shift the focus inward now, because a big part of the book is about building your own inner strength. Chapter 4 is self-compassion and self-confidence.
Self-compassion. This is such a powerful idea they explore. It's not about feeling sorry for yourself.
No, it's explicitly not self-pity.
Right. It's about treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a good friend who is struggling, cutting yourself some slack.
And they break it down, don't they, into 3 components?
Yes. First is self-kindness, just being gentle with yourself when you're in pain rather than critical. Second is common humanity, recognizing that suffering is part of being human. You're not alone in feeling this way.
That feeling of connection, even in pain.
Exactly. And the third is mindfulness, being able to observe your difficult thoughts and feelings without getting totally overwhelmed or swept away by them, creating a bit of space.
And rebuilding self-confidence after a major setback. It's not about suddenly being perfect, is it?
Not at all. It's about small wins, accumulating little successes, moments where you feel capable again. And self-forgiveness is a huge part of that, letting go of blame or regret to move forward.
The book suggests practical things like maybe writing a kind letter to yourself as if from a friend.
Yeah, or practicing mindfulness for just a few minutes, setting really small, achievable goals to rebuild that feeling of agency, that sense you can do things.
Which connects to the next chapter's idea, chapter 5, bouncing forward. I like that phrase.
Me too. It's about post-traumatic growth.
So not just bouncing back to how things were before, which might not even be possible.
Or even desirable sometimes. It's about actually growing through the experience, becoming stronger or maybe different in positive ways because of what you went through.
And they identify common areas where this growth happens.
Yes, the sources mention 5. Often a deeper appreciation for life itself, stronger or more meaningful relationships, a greater sense of personal strength, seeing new possibilities or paths you wouldn't have considered before, and sometimes shifts in spiritual beliefs or perspective.
But it's really important, they stress, that growth and grief can exist at the same time.
Absolutely. Finding growth doesn't mean the pain is gone. They coexist. Healing isn't about erasing the past.
And finding meaning, maybe by helping others facing similar things, that can actually help accelerate the healing and growth.
It's used to be a powerful factor, yes, turning pain into purpose.
It prompts you to think about your own inner dialogue during tough times. Is it harsh? Or could you try being a bit kinder, like you would to a friend? And looking back, maybe you can see ways adversity, however awful, might have led to some unexpected strength or change you value now. Okay, what about finding joy again? That feels like such a complex, maybe even fraught topic after loss. Chapter 6 is taking back joy.
It is complex, and the book gives this really important reassurance. It's okay to feel joy again. Joy and grief can absolutely coexist.
Feeling happy doesn't mean you've forgotten or you didn't love enough.
Exactly. That guilt people often feel about starting to feel good again is really common, but it actually hinders healing. The book argues you need to give yourself permission.
And it's about actively seeking it out, not just waiting for it.
Yes, actively looking for small moments of joy, connection, peace. And also finding ways to adapt old rituals or traditions that might feel painful now, or creating new ones.
So practical steps are like consciously giving yourself permission to feel happy, noticing those tiny good moments, adapting traditions so they fit your new reality, maybe creating new rituals altogether.
It's about weaving joy back into the fabric of life, even when that fabric has been torn.
Then the book broadens out again, thinking about the next generation in Chapter 7, Raising Resilient Kids.
Oh, this is so crucial for parents, educators, anyone with kids in their lives. The core idea is that kids don't become resilient by being bubble wrapped.
No, shielding them from all difficulty isn't the answer.
Right. It's about helping them navigate manageable challenges with your support. And being age-appropriately honest about tough stuff is way better than avoidance, which just breeds anxiety.
So kids need the tools, the coping strategies, but also that solid emotional backup. And seeing you model resilience is huge.
Absolutely. Modeling is key. And helping them develop a sense of agency, that feeling they can have an impact, they have some control, is vital to prevent what they call learned helplessness.
So in practice, that might look like letting them face safe, natural consequences sometimes.
Yeah, like forgetting their homework and having to deal with it, within reason, of course.
Yeah.
Teaching them actual coping skills, like taking deep breaths when they're upset, giving them opportunities to help others, which builds confidence and purpose.
And celebrating their effort, not just whether they win or succeed.
Exactly. Praising persistence, trying hard. It really makes you think about how you approach joy after your own setbacks, and also how you can help the young people in your life build those resilience muscles early on.
Finally, the book zooms out even further in Chapter 8, Finding Strength Together. This is about collective resilience.
Yeah, moving beyond the individual to think about how families, workplaces, communities, how groups build the capacity to weather storms together.
And a big part of that is deliberately building support systems and fostering what they call psychological safety.
Psychological safety, meaning that environment where people feel okay being vulnerable, where they can admit they're struggling or made a mistake or need help without fearing negative consequences.
That feels essential for true support.
It really is. And they also touch on how diversity and inclusion actually strengthen an organization's resilience, bringing more perspectives to problem solving in tough times.
A key point seems to be that communities need to invest in these support networks before a crisis hits.
Definitely. You can't just magic up strong social ties when disaster strikes. It's ongoing work. And leadership during adversity needs that mix, being competent, handling the practical stuff, but also showing genuine compassion.
The book gives examples like workplaces having supportive leave policies, maybe training managers on how to have sensitive conversations.
Creating employee resource groups, building those community mutual aid networks where neighbors help neighbors. Proactive stuff.
So thinking about the groups you're part of, work, family, community groups, how could those groups consciously work on building this collective resilience, making it safer for everyone to struggle and get support when needed? So if we pull all these different threads together, the main message from option B, as reflected in our sources, feels pretty clear and quite hopeful, actually.
Yeah, I think so. Resilience isn't some magic trait you're born with.
Right. It's built.
It's built.
Yeah.
Through understanding some of the psychology, through reaching out and connecting with others, letting them help, through being kinder to yourself.
And through actively looking for meaning and even growth, even in the midst of pain.
And the path isn't about erasing what happened or getting back to some perfect before. That's often not realistic. It's about finding a way to move forward, to create a strong, meaningful option B.
So no matter what kind of adversity someone's facing, big or small, these ideas offer, real actionable ways to cope, to heal, and build strength.
For yourself, and also in how you show up for others.
Which brings us to a final thought to leave you with. Based on this idea that resilience isn't innate, but something built and shared. If resilience is not an innate trait, but a skill and a collective capability we can build together, what responsibility do we have not just individually, but within our communities and organizations to actively create environments where everyone feels safe to struggle, ask for help, and ultimately bounce forward? Thanks for listening. Until next time, keep diving deep.